In this video, we're going to talk about our ongoing blueberry and blackberry harvest. We're going to talk about the next harvest is coming up. We have 6 of them going on with more coming this time of year. It's awesome. We'll talk about experiments and other things that we've got going on. Hello and welcome to Bowtie Life, where we talk mostly about life in the garden. I'm Bowtie David. We live in downtown Destin, Florida. Downtown, Old Town, whatever you want to call it. So we're Zone 9B. Now coming up in the very near future, we're going to be talking about the raised garden bed tour for this month, June. And we're going to talk about even more harvest shorts, or having even more harvest shorts. And speaking of that, I would like to hear from y'all. Please comment below. What kind of videos do you like to watch? Do you like the shorts? Do you like the longer format videos? What kind of things do you want to see more of in our lineup of videos? So be sure to subscribe to Bowtie Life on YouTube if you have not already done so you don't miss a thing. Videos come out here on YouTube first, and subscribing is absolutely free. So all you have to do is hit that subscribe button. To those of you who have subscribed, thank you so much for doing that, because you are my heroes. You've helped make Bowtie Life what it is today. Hi, I'm Bowtie Dave. So first things first, I want to talk a little bit about the Mow May experience that we had. Much to Mrs. Bowtie's chagrin, I chose not to mow the grass for about 34 days in the front yard. It's been about a week longer than that now in the backyard. And the big reason for that is as our predators are waking up, as our pests and insects are waking up, they're looking for food and shelter. And I want to be sure to provide them food and shelter. Now, I have let this backyard go a bit longer than I intended because I ended up having to go on a trip before I could get to it. But I'm curious to see if we can see anything of interest. I did see that assassin bug that we saw in the first video, which once I realized what it was, I was so excited. It was a big one. And if we could get more insects like that, it really would speak to this chaos gardening theory. And a lot of it comes up from people that maybe don't have time to spend full time in their garden, like myself and Mrs. Bowtie, but we can put things together that will cause things to work better. And that's what I'm looking for. What can I do to make this garden work better? And recently, in fact, there was a video over on Epic Gardening. If I remember, I'll link it down in the index of this video below in the description. But Meg Grows Plants was talking about her limited time. She has a long commute. She works a full-time job and she doesn't have a lot of time, so she just gets what she can in and moves on. And if something doesn't survive, it's really no loss because she's already planted so many other things. If something ends up not surviving, she'll just move right on to the next thing. And she says she gets plenty of what she wants. And we've done this. Now we're entering into our 3rd full year of doing this. And we've got so many cucumbers, we've got ginger, beans, okra, we've had tomatoes, we've had hot peppers, all kinds of stuff that we've had a lot of. In fact, I've already mentioned we're going to be talking about some of the harvests we have either going on right now or coming right up here in the month of June 2024. So things are happening. As you're watching this garden tour, be sure and notice how little there is of the eaten leaves of the plants. I can't claim to have done anything special other than just interplanting things and making what I consider a beautiful garden. Mrs. Bowtie likes to see some things different. She's kind of sitting off camera over here, but she's actually helping with the weeds a little bit and a few other things around here, and we're finding a balance. So it's beginning to work out. We did get a lot of rain last month, I've mentioned before, in May, and it's funny because I counted up on my trip one day. I took some time to count up how much rain we've got here, or how many times it's rained here, and we've actually had between 6 and 8 days of rain since the beginning of the year. Problem is, when it rains 6 to 8 inches. So it's been these super hard rains, but then they disappear into the sand and they go away. And so it hasn't been totally beneficial. So having a lot of organic material in the garden has been very interesting, very beneficial. There goes the lizard after one of our beetles. And so anyway, we'll just start taking a look. Obviously we have our blackberry harvest going on, and this is just, we've already harvested more blackberries this year than we've ever used. Not ever used in a year, than we've ever used. And so we're kind of at a loss of what to do. I am still harvesting the blackberries. I'm looking here for a good one. Oh, there's a good one. So these things, this is even a smaller one, but they're the size of my thumb, and they're normally a lot bigger than that. I don't know if you can see that right there. It's the size of the end of my thumb. But these things, they're ripe blackberries, and they're wonderful. We're going to make probably some jellies out of it, because this year that's what we've got. Maybe I'll do a hot pepper jelly of blackberry. I don't know. We'll have to brainstorm some combinations like that. But we'll talk about some of the harvests that are going on, and some of them, like I said, that are coming right up. So before we get all that started, before you think that you have to have a lot of land to be able to do something like this, to grow a garden of your own, you do not. We started on a 14-foot patio in a north-facing apartment. North-facing, we didn't even have good sun. And we grew a lot of tomatoes and grew a lot of peppers. We grew some beans. We grew a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And we were learning. And right now, this property right here, it's a pretty average in-town property, quarter acre. It's 106 foot deep, 100 foot wide. And we've turned a lot of this into gardens. I'll admit, I've gone a little more than most people might be willing to do. Do it a little bit at a time. I knew what I wanted, especially when we saw the backyard. I knew what I wanted to do, and I jumped right into that. We've gradually done more stuff in the front yard as my abilities grow, as my knowledge grow. But, you know, you can start with just a few pots like I had on the 14-foot patio at the north-facing apartment. And so don't wait till one day when things are perfect. Just start where you can, and turn your waiting room into a classroom, like Jess over at Roots and Refuse likes to say. I love that saying, because you can start learning now, and one day when you get to a different situation, a different season in life, you can do a lot more efficiently and even better than what you can now, because you've not only might you have more space, but you'll have more knowledge too because of what you did now. So I encourage you to get started, do something, even if it's a single tomato plant. That's where I started. I started with a single tomato plant, and it kind of exploded from there. But we're entering into season 5. This the 5th year now, I believe it is, and I'm learning. I'm still learning, still figuring things out. This harvest thing, this is pretty cool. You'll want to see this in this video. But we're going to have this image here of the backyard. It's an aerial shot we took Christmas of last year, so you kind of get an idea of how big it is, where it is. It's 100 foot wide, as you can see it in this image. And then we're going to have this, and we're going to put that in the corner, and we're going to have this icon here with the arrow pointing. The circle represents where the camera is. The circle represents the direction the camera is pointing, so you can see exactly where we're sitting. And we're going to just walk around just the outside of this backyard, which is kind of full. It's kind of intense, I'll be honest. And I love it. I love walking out here. It makes me want to walk out here. And that's the thing. My yard looks very busy. Your yard may look more like Versailles Gardens. You may want more sitting places, or a gazebo. I do like Gardner Scott's gazebo that he just put into his garden. We might do more of that. Right now, Mrs. Bowtie is actually sitting under the shade fabric, which you'll see in the next part of this month's garden tour. But there's so many things you can do to make it your own. Make it a place you want to go. Make it a place you enjoy being in. So, without anything further needed to be said, we're going to go ahead and start right where we're at now with these blackberries. And you can see these blackberries are looking good. We've had so many ripe ones. Like I said, we've already harvested more than we've ever used in a single year. And we'll have to figure out exactly what we're going to be doing. So lots of ripe blackberries. And of course, the way you pick these, you can feel, you can touch them. Like this one feels pretty firm. If I look around, I bet I can find some, yeah, there's a little bit of red on the top here I can barely see. But I come over here and I just feel, okay, that one feels a little soft. I see some red on that one. I'm gonna leave it a little longer. See how that one just literally fell off the plant? Now it's also, oh, see, now it's got more red on it than I realized. It looks like it got eaten by a bird. But as you're feeling through these, I'll actually just go through here and, you know, feel it if it's soft, and then give it a little tug. If it stays on, I don't worry about it yet. There's one right there. It's starting to lose its gloss, and that's going to be a good one to eat. So, oh yeah. So that was a tasty blackberry. You don't like eating blackberries because of the seeds, but you like the taste of blackberries. Remember, you don't have to chew your teeth all the way together. I kind of mush it up with my teeth without going all the way closed with my teeth, and that way you don't get as many seeds stuck in your teeth. Okay, so after that we have the pomegranates, and the pomegranates are doing pretty good. Now this one right here, I'm not sure why it is not producing. It looks like it's dropped, as far as I can see right now, all of its leaves. However, the one right next to it has got lots of good pomegranates. In fact, I see one up there in the back that looks like it is going to be ready to be picked first. But I'm looking right now at a dozen pomegranates just in the view here that are going to be coming out of that tree. Now I did trim the suckers off of these trees, and they're already growing new ones here, but I did trim them up so that the leaf isn't sucked out of them, and it has more problems. Coming back across here, did I just find another tomato plant? I did, and it's a Everglades tomato, and it is growing crazy back in here. It has tomatoes on it. That's interesting. I'm going to leave that one too. That's the second plant I am leaving in the garden. Coming around here, you can see there's more blackberries. This is a goji bush underneath here, but there is ivy taking over. We will be going to war on the ivy very soon, and I will take you along on that, whether it'll be a short or a full-length video. I want to talk about how to get rid of these invasive ivies and hopefully save your plants. This is a goji plant. Problem is, it's really shaded, and so I don't know that this is gonna, oh, that's not goji. That is a pepper plant. Okay, it's what I call a pepper plant. I understand. It's not a pepper plant, but this is actually, you can see it's kind of looking a little pale and a little weak, and so this thing is probably not going to make it. I would move it, but where we have our other goji plant, I've already propagated out a second one over there to replace this one if it totally dies. If you watch my outer garden bed tours, you'll know this used to have an arbor. You'll see that in the next part of the garden tour, the raised garden bed tour. This is the third pomegranate tree, and it also is, well, I thought it had pomegranates on it. It's very strange. Why does one of these have it, the next one not, and another one have it? I have still got to learn a little bit about these pomegranates. Maybe we can get a friend of mine who is an arborist to come explain that to me a little better. That would be a interesting video, I think. Let me know in the comments if you think that would be interesting. And you know, if you have experiences with this or you have questions, please do comment in the comments of these videos. I love hearing from y'all, whether it's a question. Sometimes those questions get me thinking and get me going in a different direction. And sometimes you share an experience you have, and that, again, completely re-educates me on what I'm doing. So don't be afraid to comment on any of our videos here. Now, we've already talked about the blackberry harvest, this harvest here, and how about some thumbs up for these blueberries that are growing here. Oh my goodness, these are so ready to pick. We still even have more developing, but these things are delicious. We've already picked over 25 pounds. I think we're closer to 27 pounds of blueberries so far from our blueberry patch that kind of separates the side yard from the backyard. We have just ravaged this thing. The birds are ravaging this thing, and there are still plenty. Look at that big one right there. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I just can't turn that one down. That's a nice big one. Ready to go. Oh wow. Very sweet. So yeah, when they're big like that, and again, you give them a little squeeze, they feel soft, and they just come off. You don't even have to pull them off. They just come off the plant. They are ready to be eaten. So yeah, we've been here. I see a big one right here. See there behind here, it's a little bit big. Right there. Love the look of that one. Just comes right off. Now, oh yeah. Just for comparison, see that green one right there? I can pull that pretty hard. I'm pulling the branch. Did you hear that click? That means that thing wasn't ready to go. It wasn't ready to be picked. Obviously, it's not. It's still green. But you can tell when you got the sweet ones, when you got the good ones, and they got that little bit of softness. They got that staining on the hands too. But yeah, the blueberries are just amazing. They taste amazing. We haven't broken our first year with this property, the record we set on the first year of this property, but I might come out here just to try to break that record. So over behind the blueberries, we have our old bee box pedestal and the new bee box pedestal over there. And I'm moving it back because of the sun situation. You'll notice this one, right now it's in the afternoon, middle of the afternoon. This one is still in pretty harsh sunlight, and that one is not. Now that one will get sun all morning. It gets really good sun all the morning, and then throughout the day, it will get little spots of sun. And so I'm thinking that's going to be a little better for the bees. This was not the favorite place, I don't think, of bees. Now, interestingly enough, even though this bee box has been gone for quite a while, there are still a selection of bees down here all huddled together for security, for whatnot, but they are still sitting there waiting for a home, I guess. I don't know. So I let them be. We're supposed to have another box coming soon, and the hope is that they would adopt the new box. So right next to the bee box, of course, we have the bee bath, which I just noticed. The thing that fills it is gone, and it happens about once every 2 or 3 months. Somewhere down here there is a tube that's supposed to feed this thing, water this thing, and I don't see it at the moment. Oh, here it is, right here. And it gets pulled out occasionally. I don't know why. Somehow it gets pulled out. I just stick that in there. And this bee bath normally stays full. I have another bird bath around, but this, you'll notice the rocks in it. This is better for the bees because they have plenty of things to stand on to get to the water that's in there. So the Cathedra-loupe, it is starting to grow, and hopefully we'll have this thing covered very soon. I see a monarch butterfly in our garden right now. In fact, there he goes, right across our path. Anyway, 2 years ago I had a lot of cantaloupe growing in this area, but I didn't have this arch trellis. But you can see this is a pretty good size one. I think I've got one larger one down on the far end over there. And we have several plants along here that are growing slowly, folks. These are slow to grow, and I remember that from the first year I did this. Last year I had this Cathedra-loupe up, and it did not do well because I didn't get it planted. I tried to, but I was not very focused on it. So this place kind of stood. You can see we've got irrigation in here now, and all this gets watered the way it's supposed to, and it's a lot better now. So I have higher hopes for this year. You can see good sized plant there, good sized plant there. Over here, you can see a lot of cantaloupe growing right in here. And I think that's actually, yeah, there's a plant in that hole and a plant in this hole down here in the very bottom of the frame. So there's 2 plants here, and they are starting to climb real good. But I'm working on keeping the weeds out. In fact, today I pulled out the leaves and had to pull some grass. In fact, there's one right there. Some of this grass grows through this heavy-duty DeWitt weed fabric, and you pull the grass like that, That one actually came out nice and clean. If you catch them small enough, you can do that. If they're bigger, it doesn't work so good. But got to keep those grasses clean. I'm going to head over here to the meadow area. We already talked about the bees, but in this front area here, I've got a lot of meadow type plants. These are plants that I have just allowed to grow here. Things that naturally came to our property. These Biden's Alba is the biggest thing. There are some ivies in here that I'm still letting go. Now, the comfrey that you see right there, that comfrey was actually growing on the property. I nearly killed it all out before I realized what it was. And I've repopulated it in several places. In fact, you can see it right now over by these 3 green posts. I got those posts in the hopes that the bee fella who's coming to bring us our new bee box will not totally destroy them, but though it won't matter if he does. In fact, I just noticed, looky here, comfrey is a bit invasive. You got to be careful of it. Somehow, this comfrey has grown over here a little over a foot away from the original plant. I don't know how this got here. So this is an example of it propagating itself. And comfrey is a fast grower, so you got to kind of stay on top of it. I'm not going to be upset if comfrey grows all over this place, but I do like the meadow feel. And you can see we got elephant ears. We are in Florida, so these things grow pretty prolifically in our environment. We have Biden's Alba, like I already mentioned. There's a few other plants in here that make little flowers that various insects are on. And, you know, the good insects with the bad. The insects that you don't want, they're going to attract the insects that you do want. If you want parasitic wasps, well, you want things that will attract the parasitic wasps. So you do need some pets. It's a mix, people. It's chaos. It's a whole range of things. And in balance, it will work a lot better. Again, that assassin bug, that's the first time I've identified an assassin bug. I was so excited to have seen that. Now I know we have a lot of this ragweed in here, and I'm kind of waiting to see what it looks like. Some of it is just getting ready to flower, and I want to see it flower, and then I'm gonna have to control it. And I do the same thing with the Biden's Alba. It gets out of hand, it starts going to seed. In fact, I just saw over here between the fig trees, these are starting to go to seed. Flowers have spent. Let me get it out of the direct sun there. The flowers have spent. They're starting to turn into seeds. So I'll be pulling a lot of those plants here pretty soon. Thing about this Biden's Alba, it'll grow right back. So over here on the edge of the Cathedra-loupe, in fact, you can see it right there. It's called the Cathedra-loupe because it's shaped the shape of the ancient cathedrals. Ancient, you know, the European cathedrals. You got the transept and the nave. The nave is facing east. Don't ask me how that worked out. It's just what happened. And so our fig trees. Now, our fig trees here, I was getting a lot of fruit on, at least more fruit than I've got now. The fruit is still green, though I'm not seeing nearly as much as I had on it. So you can see here, there's a few small green ones. Now this fig tree is over a little bit more underneath our magnolia tree, which right here over this fig tree, we have this magnolia tree. Now we're in the afternoon, so it's starting to get its direct sunlight. We have another fig tree over here. It's the same, it's a similar situation. It gets a little bit more sun than the first one, but you can see there are all kinds of figs in here. Now don't ask me what cultivar this is. This is what I call my Perkins fig, named after the person who let me trim their tree. And I simply stuck 25 sticks in the ground, and 8 of them sprouted into trees. This is one of those 8. Gave away 5, kept 3. So they're getting big. They're getting up to that 7-foot mark right now. This one may be 8 foot, which I don't mind that one getting a little bit taller, because I'd like to see it grow in this space above this corner of the Cathedra-loupe. This one here, I want to keep a little bit lower, so at the end of the fruiting season, and when it starts losing its branches, I'll be topping off just a little bit of this to keep it kind of in control and not get out of reach. So by the end of the season, those branches will be out of my reach. I can reach the top of those now, but I don't want it to start that way next year. So I'll get them a little bit more in control. This is another comfrey plant back here in the back of the meadow area, right next to the fence of my backyard neighbor, who is also a gardener. In fact, if you look across the back of both our properties, you can see we're both growing plenty of stuff. And we'll talk about some of the harvests that are coming up real soon. But first, these loquat plants, these loquat trees have really started to grow. This thing here is over 4 feet tall. That one is approaching 5 feet tall. The smaller ones down there, they were smaller when I planted them, but they're still getting strong. And these get watered every other day, and it drains away. We have a lot of sand in our soil, so we have to water a little more often, though there is a lot of organic material down in the soil underneath these trees. And again, you see a lot of this Biden's Alba down here, and grass of various kinds, and a few other plants. I will be coming through here. I kind of pick an area and I'll clear out and fill that brown trash can, or one of the trash cans up front, with weeds. And then I do that about once or twice a week. But just tons and tons. And what's interesting is, last month I pulled out this area over here around these onions, and you can see it's been several weeks, or a few weeks, and it hadn't really quite grown back over it again. There's a little bit of encroaching going on, but it's good for a month. And so like I said, every few weeks I'll come in and pick an area and pull them. Now this area here, there is underneath there a lemon tree that is growing underneath all these Biden's Alba. So I'm letting this go a little bit longer, and it looks a little rough, but it's kind of offering it some protection from the sun, the hard sun that comes back here as that tree gets older. In fact, here's some of that lemon tree right here. But as that tree gets older, it will get tougher and be able to stand more, and also choke out more of that Biden's Alba on its own. And so it won't grow back after I pull it. But yeah, that's the lemon tree and more about the Biden's Alba. Okay, so past that covered lemon tree. Now, folks, do you know anyone who likes watermelon? Is there anyone? Raise your hand if you like watermelon. Do you know someone else that likes watermelon? So this is my watermelon patch, and there are actually 6 watermelon in here, and I have not done, since the day I planted these watermelons, I have done very little to this. In fact, I've seen people who just spit their watermelon seeds out into an area in front of their house, and they just have prolific free watermelons. How expensive are watermelons getting? You know, you can share this video with your friends who want watermelons, who love watermelons. But yeah, look at this area here. It's a pretty big area. In fact, I don't know, what's it, about 16 feet across over there, 12 feet across, maybe a little more than that this way. It's a little longer than it is wide, but this is all watermelon plants. Now I do have this commercial grade DeWitt weed fabric underneath here, which I really have learned to like. I got some of the cheap stuff from the big box store, and this stuff just seems to last a little bit longer. But check this out. Doesn't look like much in here right now, but look at there. That thing will be ready when this tendril right here is dead. This thing will be ready to pick. It's going to get a lot bigger. There's another one under there. There's a total of 6 of them under there. In fact, the biggest one is growing on my neighbor's side of the fence back here, and it will of course be theirs. But you can see right down in there, there's another one, the other side of the fence. But yeah, 6 of them in here right now. I'm very excited to see. We are going to have watermelon here pretty soon, and this is a hands-off kind of crop. So, you know, if you know anybody that likes watermelon, share this video with them to show them that they can plant their own watermelon, and you can too. I believe very strongly in that. There's another sizable, yeah, I see it back up in there. I don't know if I can get back there without doing damage. Let me see if I can put a foot right here. There we go. Look at that. Another one right there. That actually may be the biggest one. I don't know. But it looks good, doesn't it? It looks gonna be delicious. We like watermelon in our house. So in the middle of that, we have a little patch of some kind of, oh, actually that looks like more Biden's Alba. There is a brown turkey fig kind of hidden in there. I do need to kind of keep that a little better protected from those, I think. And though I'll admit, they are protecting that bare trunk down there. So maybe that's a good idea if they're, as long as they stay shorter than that. Oh, and see, I see there's one here. One of these plants is getting taller than the fig tree. That branch I might have to pull out. Okay, that was easy to pull out. Now that fig tree has full reign over its domain. Nothing else growing immediately around it, so it can do its thing. So past the brown turkey fig, in fact, you can see here, this is one of those watermelon plants growing past the weed fabric into its, doing its own exploration. And then there's another volunteer watermelon over here that grew in the next arch trellis, which I'll talk about in a second. I'm kind of curious if this thing actually will produce real well. It's got a lot of yellow leaves down here. We'll just have to see. It is getting watered by the irrigation on this arch trellis. And first, look at all these zinnias, huge zinnias. They're beautiful. Jack and Anna provided us with seeds. Thank you guys for those seeds. I got to get some of those back to you so you can plant your own. They're still good. There's still plenty of time to grow these things, and you can grow a few in a row if you want to, but we're coming up to the next harvest here, and we are currently harvesting. Does anybody know what these are? You can tell it's a gourd of some kind. They look like a zucchini, and we actually pick them small like this. I'll let it get a little bit bigger, not much bigger than that. In fact, it'll be about this big. Here's one that's perfect right now. We'll pick those and cook them up like zucchini or squash. Mrs. Bowtie likes to stick them in a skillet, and they are delicious. These are Luffa. Think shower sponge. The Luffa are starting to produce like crazy. I'm just looking across here. There's over a dozen here in my view right now. And I've heard that this plant grows prolifically. There is one plant in each corner, and I think this corner here may have two plants. One of these corners has two plants. I think it's this one. But you can see it's completely taking over the arch trellis, just like I was hoping it would. And in fact, I have a couple of ropes going down that are taking a random vine off to the side somewhere. So yeah, these things are going to go crazy. Be sure to subscribe to keep up with what this thing does, because I think it's going to be nothing short of impressive. I do see that watermelon has decided to grow up here. Isn't that cool? I'll have to keep an eye on that, because you can actually tie up watermelons so they don't rip themselves off of a trellis like this. But this watermelon is going crazy. It's over there somewhere. That's those yellow leaves we saw a few minutes ago. And it's growing all through here. I got to keep it off the mint. I don't know what that sound was. That was a weird sound. Mrs. Bowtie hears animals out here and sometimes, and was that you? Did you just make a sound? Yes. Okay, that was her. I'm standing in.
Oh, did you hear something?
I'm standing in ankle-deep grass, okay? So here, right next to the Luffa gourd, underneath the shade cloth, I did want to mention these potatoes, because we are harvesting these potatoes very soon. They're all starting to lay down. I have turned off the water to this area over here, and they should be developing into their final stages, getting ready to pick very soon. There's grass growing up between the grow bags. There are 9 grow bags in here with 2 potatoes in each grow bag. And we'll cover those again when we do the raised garden bed tour. And I'm trying to figure out more what I want to do with these areas here on this side and the other side of the wood pile. And I really love the way the meadow is coming out. I'm tempted to continue that thought in these areas simply because they're attracting so many interesting insects. And because of the variety, whether it's good or bad, the good insects, of course, get rid of the bad insects. The bad insects attract the good insects. So they all have their benefits, and they all have a perfect balance together if you're not trying to just kill them off and doing, you go in, you spray some poison that will kill everything. Well, the first thing that's going to come back is the bad insects. And if they get in there too fast, they will outnumber things. This is a little purple flower you can see. These are kind of neat. These pop up all over the yard. I like that. This is a little bit sunnier meadow area than the first one I showed you back there by the bee boxes. So we'll have to see what grows up here. I can still keep it controlled, cut it back, or I can let it grow a bit. Then we get back here past the wood pile, and we have another patch here, a little bit of area. Now this wood pile is not permanent. I know it's been here a long time, a year and a half now, and I will be getting it out of here eventually, but this little patch right here, right now it's grass, it's growing a lot of ivy, and I'm going to get that under control. It may be a meadow, or it may turn into what my neighbor and I are growing next to each other, and that is the corn. And we are very excited about the corn and possibility of having corn. Look how tall these things are growing. It is just really cool. I've never had corn this tall before. Now, there is a lot of difference between this, the stuff in the middle, and the stuff on the other side. And I know cornfields grow like that. The stuff on the edges don't grow as tall. So, maybe we'll just have stuff in the middle. Now, I was just talking to my backyard neighbor, and we noticed that they actually have some very small ears developing. And I'm going to walk up the middle here and see if possibly, I'm just being careful not to step on the plants, of course, but I'm wondering if possibly some of these so is that an ear right there growing? I hope so. Definitely an ear growing down there. I see a pink tassel. That is definitely an ear growing. So we are going to have, I think I see another one back there too. We are definitely going to have corn. Oh, here's a really good one growing right now on the edge right here. So the tassels are looking good on the top. Corn is not the kind of plant that gets pollinated with bees. It gets pollinated with wind, and these have the pollen on them. The pollen gets blown, falls down on those the fuzzy stuff on the top of the ear, which pollinates the ear and causes the corn to grow. So it's a little bit different. Now, I don't know if you want to see more about this kind of stuff. Put in the comments below what kind of videos do you like to watch the most, and let me know what kind of videos that you look for, because I want to make stuff that's going to be more watchable, things that people want to watch, and I'd like to hear from you about that. So don't be afraid to comment below. Coming around here to the final side of the backyard, we have 3 pomegranate trees. Now this one here is kind of interesting, because this is the first time I've ever seen this many bare sticks up here. There are a lot of pomegranates up there, but I'm a little concerned that this tree is going. I do know I've got ivy. Ooh, wow, I see ivy right here in this pomegranate, and that is probably why right there, because that will choke out the light and choke the plant. So again, I got to go to battle on the ivy, and I see a whole bunch growing up over there. This other pomegranate over here, I see a little bit of ivy growing it, but it looks pretty good, though I don't see a ton of pomegranates. I see a couple. There's a small one right up in here. I'll have to see what it keeps for the season. So yeah, we have 4 pomegranate trees across here. The one closest to the corn has suffered quite a bit. I want to see if I can get that to come back. We shall see. And then the other 3 here. So those are all the pomegranates. Back there we have another lemon tree trying to grow up, which is be nice if we can get lemons back on the property. We lost all our citrus in the freeze at Christmas of 2022. So right next to these pomegranate trees is our original rosemary plant. And I pick off this. I've actually propagated several plants off of this. I gave away a lot of plants off those propagations. I've put them in other areas of the garden. Again, got ivy coming up. Also, we have comfrey coming up. Now, interesting thing about this comfrey. Remember we saw comfrey over in that first meadow area by the bees? Well, I had dug all that comfrey up right here. The only thing left here was this section of plants, and there was only 1 or 2 leaves. Look, it's already all growing back. Hadn't been a full, in fact, hadn't been a full season. It's been a few months ago since I did that. You can look back on the garden tours where I told you I first did that. This is already growing back. There was only like 2 leaves here. There's another plant on the other side over there. Now that we have it really taking hold, I'll probably end up taking some more of this comfrey out of here and spreading it around a little bit. So we have our extra pots out here in the middle, and mostly these are aloe. There's aloe underneath here. I do, again, need to get some of these weeds under control. The ivy is going crazy, but this aloe is beautiful when it blooms. It bloomed our first year here, which was after a winter. We did not have a freeze. And so the aloe may just need a winter without a freeze. That's it. The grass over here around another lemon tree here has appeared to have died. So I don't know what's going on with all that. It's not covered anymore. So I'm not sure if I need to keep that covered or what. I see a few yellowing leaves down there. I'm going to go ahead and get that cleaned up so it can thrive. Maybe it can thrive a little better. And then coming around to the end here, we have our Dietes bicolor grass, which I need to get out of here. I still haven't broken it up. I'm planning a video on breaking up a few of these things because we have that. We have a lot of mint plants around. In fact, right here we have our spearmint. And the reason why it looks so bad is because I just harvested a whole bunch out of here. Now it's getting irrigated out of there. See that pipe right there? That's actually the irrigation for this whole area. And it is getting irrigated good, so it's not dying or anything. But I cut a lot of this back, and a lot of this is new growth. See that? Brand new growth already. So this thing will come back pretty quickly. Not too worried about it. That's spearmint. This over here is chocolate mint. Another aloe, one that I particularly like. And then above that, of course, we have our extra loquat trees. Anybody want a loquat tree? Please contact me. If you're following me on here on YouTube, you can comment below. Let me know if you're interested, and we can work out how to get a hold of each other if you're here locally. I'm not shipping these, but these are the same loquats that we're growing in that hedge over there that are growing real nicely. So here behind, or in front of all the pomegranates now, of course, right along the fence is our 3-bin compost system, and our first bin is empty. This will be turned into that here in a month or so. And you can see a lot of flies flying over. I think I may not have buried my last kitchen scraps quite enough. That's very possible. But there is a whole, probably about that much layer of grass clippings. It was above the top again, and this is the one that we built out of seaweed and old compost and old leaves and all kinds of stuff in there. So it is a very diverse, which is what you want, is a good diverse compost that can give you a variety of microbe life, a variety of biome inside that, so that when it comes time to feeding your plants, it actually is feeding the soil. This biome in this soil is creating the nutrients that the plants can uptake, and it's far more healthy than synthetic stuff because it can create more of itself. It's not just throwing synthetic chemicals in there that take them in the plant, and you just have to give it more. It's an endless cycle, folks. Synthetics, it's a dangerous cycle to get into. You put synthetics on it, and if you don't help the soil grow, then you have to put more in, then you have to put more in, then you have to put more in, and eventually the soil is dead and it can't support itself, which is what you don't want your garden to get into. That's why I do not like using synthetics. I have not used any synthetics in the past 4.5 years of growing, and I don't plan to. This little bend down here, you can see there's a little over a foot down there of seaweed, and that'll get mixed in with this when it gets flipped over there. So I'll have, wow, 2 empty bins one day in about a month. How exciting is that? So someone was asking about our magnolias, and this magnolia right here next to the compost, it's a beautiful tree. I think I actually can reach around that trunk. I'm not sure I can reach around the trunk on the other one at the far end of the property where we started. And I showed that first magnolia. These things make huge flowers, and they make them for a very long time. I love this tree. There is a skylight just down over here into the bathroom on this end of the house, and there's one on the other end. And both skylights look up into the trees, and you can see the blooms on the trees when they're blooming. But these make really big blooms. This tree here, I would call it my not quite perfect tree, simply because I don't know why this one always puts these shoots out down here, and I get rid of them so that it focuses more on growing the health of the tree. The one on the other end of the property doesn't do that, and I don't know why. I need to find out about that. But yeah, this thing has always put out little shoots, and I have to come out and take them off every once in a while and clean it up a little bit. And of course the palm tree back there, that's our one remaining, no, I have a date palm in the front yard, and this is our one remaining, whatever kind of palm this is. It does not produce anything useful. It just is a palm tree, and it's back there in the corner. I'm still not totally convinced I shouldn't just take it out. If you have an opinion, let me know in the comments below. Hey there, take me to Louie's. Another one of our banner planes that we get through here all the time. But, well, thank you for watching and joining me on my ADD virtual tour of the garden tour, and follow along with what we're doing. Y'all have a blessed day.